Hey crafters, crocheters, and yarn enthusiasts. Today is Friday, March 18th, 2022, and I have another blanket for you. Now I have to step back really far for this one because it's really long hanging up there. Okay, so let's see. It is 42 inches wide by 72 inches tall. Takes up my whole bookshelf. Alright, so to give you a look at the colors that I used, there's 13 colors in the body of the blanket, and then one color for the border. Okay, and we have teal and a pinkish red and green, yellow, red, green again, purple again, orange, lighter shade of teal, lighter shade of pink, this green here, purple, and then it repeats, but in a different order. I know, you're looking at it and you can see that the yarn is starting to pill because I actually use this blanket. This blanket is mine. So let me get you guys on the tripod. I'll get the blanket on the step stool and I will show you how I made it. Okay, so let's start with some details on this one, huh? I am calling it Rainbows and Waffles because it has front post double crochets on every other row, which gives it a waffle look and feel to it, but it's a small simple waffle. So Rainbows and Waffles. I made this starting March 6th 2015, and I finished it on April 3rd 2015, so it is 7 years old. Rainbows and Waffles. Okay, the yarn I used. It is from Herrschner's, and Herrschner's is a catalog company where you used to be able to order things out of the catalog, and now you can order them online at their .com. So this is their 2-ply Afghan yarn. So it is a 2-weight, which is fine on your yarn weight chart. It is 100% acrylic. This ball of yarn was only 2 ounces or 220 yards, which is not a lot. They're tiny little balls of yarn. Okay. This is a sample of some of the colors that are in the blanket. It's not all of them, but just some of them. There's dark teal. That says deep purple. And grape frost. Okay. It turns out to be a very soft yarn. I actually enjoyed working with this. Alright, so hook size. I actually have my hook today. It is size F or 3.75 millimeters. I don't know if you can see that. That's an F in there. And this actually gives me something to grip on while I'm using the smaller size hook because smaller hooks are thinner. Yeah, gives me something to... It's a part of a kit somewhere, and I can't remember, but I know I'll come across it as I go through all my stuff. Okay, so 13 colors, right? I started out with this darker teal to this darker shade of pink or fuchsia, light shade of green, and I did a yellow, and the red, the lighter shade of green, lighter shade of purple, some orange. They called it light teal, but yeah, it's a lighter shade of teal. In the camera it looks aqua, but it's more teal. Lighter shade of pink, another shade of green, lighter shade of purple, and the darkest shade of green. And that's my 13 colors in the body of the blanket, with this dark, rich dark purple for the border. Alright, so let's see if I can show you what I did here. My starting chain was with this deep dark teal, and according to my notes that I just wrote the other day, because you know I didn't write any notes when I first made it in 2015, my starting chain is 152 plus 1, because I like to do a foundation row of a single crochet to make the blanket a little stronger on each end, so when you go to do a border you're not working into the chain. It just makes the blanket stronger. So my starting chain is 152 plus 1. That plus 1 is just the turning chain to start with your single crochets, okay? Then row 2 is all regular double crochets. So when I got to the end of row 1, I chained 3, and that chain 3 acts as my first stitch, acts my first double crochet. And I skipped that first stitch, and then I did 151 double crochets all the way across, so I'd have a total of 152. Yeah, that sounds about right. And then when I come back on the next row, let's flip the blanket over on the other side. Alright, so you chain your 3, do your double crochet, and then you do a front post double crochet. Regular crochet, front post double crochet. Regular crochet, front post double crochet. Alright, so it does give it the back of the blanket, gives it this this texture with the front posts, right? And then on this side, it gives it a waffling. That's why we call it waffles, or a waffle stitch. See? It creates these little pockets where warm air gets trapped in there, so it keeps your blanket nice and warm. So I just did 2 rows of each color. Can you see that? It's 1 row of regular double crochet, and then 1 row of alternating front post double crochet and regular double crochet. And then I switched over to the pink, did 1 row of double crochet. The next row was alternating between front post and regular double crochets. Then I changed color again. So every 2 rows I changed color. And the thing is with this blanket, like I picked the order for the first 13 colors, right? And then I go to my husband and I say, okay, there we go. I worked the first 13 colors there. Now you take all the colors and you put them in order, in an order that you like, and I will crochet them in that order. So there we go. The next part of my blanket here, from this lighter shade of green and the yellow and the teal, is my husband's color order. So let's count that out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. So his last color would have been the pink, right? So then I go to my oldest child, which 5 years ago would have been 7 years ago. Would have been like 11 years old. I had my oldest child do the next color choice and color order. So it goes yellow, purple, green, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Alright, so then their colors would have ended here with the shade of green. Then I go to my middle child, who would have been 10, and said, okay, can you put the yarn colors in whatever order you like? So that's my next set, would be starting with this purple, and then green, pink, yellow, red, the teals, orange, the green, the pink, another shade of teal. I think I have 3 shades of teal in here. Purple. And that would have been the end of their color order. And then what I did was, for the last color order, I had one more kid in the house, but I already knew the blanket was getting too long. So all I did was take the first 13 colors and just reversed order for the last part of the blanket. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So that's it. So I had color choices. My husband did, the oldest child, the middle child, but not the youngest child. I know, right? So my border, let's talk about the border. It is, oh, okay. After this last row of alternating double crochet and front post, double crochet, front post, I did 1 row of single crochet in the dark teal to make my blanket nice and strong, okay? And then I did the border in this deep dark purple, which I love this. So the border is, looking at my notes, hold on. Okay, according to my notes here, the border is 6 rounds, okay? First round is single crochet, second round is single crochet. Third round is all double crochet. The fourth round is alternating double crochet, front post double crochet, front post double crochet. And then the 5th round is single crochet, and the 6th round is single crochet. So it gives me a nice deep border. This is what my corners look like. I cannot tell you what I did on my corners on this. I don't write down notes on corners. I don't know about you guys, but my corners either come out really tight and they scrunch, or they come so stretched out that they wave and they buckle, you know. So this one actually turned out pretty good. Let's see. Yeah, see, that's what the back side of it looks like with the front post going on. You see that texture? There's a little bit of buckling there, which means I probably added, what, too many stitches? I don't know. But I like my blanket. Okay, let's show you those colors one more time, huh? Because I gotta tell you, these are really pretty colors. Right? I hope the camera's picking up these colors really well. They're rich colors, almost like jewel tones. Except for that yellow. The yellow is super bright. I wish I had picked a more muted shade of yellow, like a mustard yellow. I don't know if Herrschner's has mustard yellow or not, but that's okay. I'm alright with it. Because I love all the teals and the greens with those darker shades of pink. There we go. Alright, so let me turn you guys around, or I'll go sit on the other side and we'll chat. Okay. Thank you guys for sticking with me for this long, okay? I know I have a tendency to talk. So this blanket, when I had made it in 2015, I was I was doing craft shows with my mom, like on the weekends in the spring and the fall, and taking some of my blankets and trying to sell them. And yeah, I mean, my blankets did really well. I mean, some people just really love crocheted blankets, you know. Okay, so let's see, where do I start? This one's a hard one. I debated about doing this video or even publishing it, and I still may change my mind before the day's over. Back in 2020, I damaged my rotator cuff, and by 2021, I was finishing up a blanket, and I had to put my hook down because I couldn't crochet anymore because of the tear in my rotator cuff, and then I have a cyst sitting here in my arm. So I actually haven't crocheted in like a year. I actually just started picking up my hook about 2 months ago in January. Because my rotator cuff is healed very nicely, but the cyst in my arm, it's touching a nerve, so it makes it very hard for me to crochet. It can be very painful. So I'm only doing it in small increments. You guys can go back and watch my first video and it'll tell you all about it. So sometime in 2015, I had given myself permission to buy brand new yarn because my whole life with crocheting, I was always using leftover yarn from other people's projects, from my mom's projects, my grandma, my aunt. I would shop on eBay and look for lots of leftover scrap yarn, and I would use that. I always used leftover yarns from everybody else's projects. So I finally gave myself permission in 2015 at the age of 45, 44 to go ahead and buy brand new yarn. And that's what I did. And so I was making more and more blankets by the time 2015 rolled around. I can average, before I had damaged my arm, I can average 1 to 2 blankets a month. So anywhere from 12 to 24 blankets a year. And that's a lot of blankets. And, I started crocheting in 1981. By the time I was 15 years old in 1986, I was giving all the blankets away. Everything I made, I gave away. I didn't keep anything for myself. I never made anything for myself. I was taught that to crochet meant to give it away as a gift or just because, all right? You were never supposed to keep anything for yourself. I'm sorry that that's the lesson that I learned because, I know now that that's not exactly true, that it is okay to crochet for yourself. It is okay to make things for yourself, and you're not being selfish when you do that. I give freely of everything that I own. You call me on the phone and say you need gas money, I will give you gas money. You call and tell me you need some food in your kitchen, I will give you food. I will give you whatever I have. And at the end of the day, if I have nothing left and you call me and say I still need something more, I will give you more, even though I've got nothing left, okay? I will give you anything and everything freely and willingly, okay? So I did that with all of my crocheting up until 2015. I made this blanket. I didn't have anybody in mind when I made it, but I had gotten really attached to it because I picked the color order. My husband had picked color order, my oldest, and then my middle child, and it had become full of family love while I was making it. My family had a say in what I was doing, and I really enjoyed the way that felt. As a crocheter and somebody who has control issues, right? You like all your blankets to be symmetrical, and you like all your colors to be in order and in a certain way. And I was trying to let loose a little bit and loosen up a little bit and not have so much control over it. So that's why I enlisted help of my husband and my kids. So I had become very attached to this blanket, right? And it came out beautifully. And these are actually my kind of colors. I love these colors, right? So I was showing it to somebody that I'm related to, and you'll excuse me for not telling you who that is, because I have to show some respect, right? So I was showing it to somebody, and I said, I want to keep this one. All right. I fell in love with it, the colors, how my family helped me, and I wanted to keep it. In 30 years of crocheting, I never said to myself, I want to keep that. But I finally did in 2015. I said, I want to keep that blanket. I love it so much. And the person I was talking to said, they kind of laughed and said, Jennie, you can't keep everything you make. For 30 years I never kept anything. If they knew me at all, I had never kept anything. I gave it all away. And while I did make a blanket for my husband when we first met, and I made blankets for my kids when they were babies, I never kept anything for myself. So their words were not cute, they weren't funny, they weren't charming, and it wasn't a joke for me. It was hurtful. and giving power to other people over you like that. I still struggle with that to this day. People will say things and it hurts, you know, and so I struggled for quite a while after those words that I couldn't keep everything I make. And funny thing was, in 30 years I hadn't kept anything. So my reaction and my response to that is I kept everything. 2015 on, I can show you all the pictures in my laptop, and I can show you all the 40 boxes, bins, and bags that I have. In the last 7 years, I have kept everything. Every brand new ball of yarn I bought, whether I used it or didn't, and every blanket I made, and I can make 12 to 24 blankets a year, I kept everything. So that's how I responded to it. So sometime in 2020, you know, the worldwide pandemic hits, everybody takes stock of their lives and what's going on and who they are, where they're going, what they're doing, if they're happy. And I decided I wasn't happy and I was going to do something about it. So in 2020, I actually started with the oldest project I have and decided to finish it and do something about it. It wound up being my patchwork squares, which is sitting here with me. Okay, can you guys see this one? I started that in 2012, so that doesn't have anything to do with the words that were said in 2015. It's just I was so undecided on what to do with that one. So in 2020, I sat down and I finished it. And then at some point, I damaged my rotator cuff in 2020. So I have two sad stories, okay? Damaging my rotator cuff and the cyst, so I could no longer crochet. And in the year that I took off, when in 2021, early 2021, I think it was like January, February, I put my crochet hook down and I didn't pick it up again until January 2022. So a full year of being away from crocheting and being away from everything I feel about it and think about it, and everything I was taught gave me time to reflect, I guess, and have some insight into myself. And where was I going with that thought? I know there's a break in the video there. I lost my train of thought. So I'm better now mentally with what had happened with those words, how hurtful they were. My husband's been helping me with it, and he's wonderful and he's fantastic, and I love him dearly. I am allowed to keep some things that I crochet if I want to. I am absolutely allowed to keep it for myself if I decide I want to. So in 2020, when I decided to start working through my issue with the words and how much they hurt, and to start working on the projects that I had, and then right before I damaged my rotator cuff, I had pulled this blanket out of storage, whatever box, bin, or bag that it was in, and I said, I'm going to use it, and I have used it since then. That's why you see some of the pilling that's on there. I need to get a sweater shaver so I can, you know, clean up the yarn a little bit. It is showing a little bit of wear and tear, but I in the winter, like I'm a warm person. I am warm all the time, right? So blankets are almost kind of lost on me. But every now and then I get chilly, right? So what I do is I actually throw this blanket around my shoulders because it is just long enough to do that. I wear it almost like a shawl, but it's a little big for a shawl. Did you see that? It actually, my whole wingspan, right? And I walk around the house with my blanket. And then I tuck the blanket up like I've got sleeves so I can go to the kitchen and you know, do things, make dinner, wash the dishes. But I keep myself nice and warm with my blanket, okay? I absolutely love it still to this day, and I made it in March and April of 2015, and I still love it, and I love using it. I keep it on the back of my what I call my reading chair, because you know I have a second YouTube channel. It's about books, right? So I keep it on the back of my reading chair, and it looks fantastic over there. Maybe when I'm done filming, I'll put it on the chair and I'll show you. Okay, so 14 colors, 13 in the body of the blanket, one color for the border. Since those balls of yarn are so tiny from Herrschner's, right? What did I say that they were? 2 ounces. I mean, they are tiny, tiny balls of yarn. They don't go very far. I went through a lot of balls of yarn for this blanket. I must have gone through at least 2 or 3 just for the border alone. Okay, since the blanket's like 72 inches tall, I went through 2 or 3 balls of this just for the border. I probably would have gone through at least 2 balls for each color. Maybe 1 ball. See, here's the thing. I did have some leftovers, and with the leftovers, I made a second blanket that's like this, but not, because I changed up the color sequence. But that one I didn't do till like 6 months later, and it is in my pile, and I will show it to you when I get to August of 2015, right? Alright, so crochet hook. It's an F, or a 3.75. All my crochet hooks, my favorite ones anyway, are from a company called Boye, B-O-Y-E. Those are the hooks that I use. This one's an old one. This is one of my grandma's hooks. You can see it's actually curved a little bit. One of my grandma's hooks. Okay, yeah, and a starting chain of 152 plus 1, because my first row was all single crochets. The second row is double crochets. And then my third row is double crochets alternated with front post double crochets. There is 132 rows in the blanket total. So the first row being all single crochet. Row 132 is all single crochet. So rows 2 through 131 are the double crochet, and then the double crochet front post that alternate. 6 rounds on the border, 42 inches wide, 72 inches tall, and it's my blanket. And my family helped me with the color order, you know. And I think that's it for this one. This one was nice and simple. The Herrschner 2-ply Afghan yarn, to look at it, it doesn't look like much, because it's just 100% acrylic. It's just man-made fibers, and it doesn't look like much, but when you're done working it up and you wash it and you start using it, it actually softens up over time. And I like how thin it is, being a 2-weight, okay? It worked out beautifully, and I gotta tell you, alright, I'm not affiliated with Herrschner's, and they didn't sponsor this video at all, but I find Herrschner's to be the best place to go yarn shopping when you're doing yarn shopping online, okay? If you have craft stores like AC Moore, that is now out of business, Michael's Arts and Craft, Joanne Fabrics that has a yarn section, Hobby Lobby, right? You're limited on the color selection that they have, and not all the craft stores sell all the yarn. You know, one craft store will sell a lot of Red Heart, but not a lot of Karen Simply Soft. One will sell a lot of Lion Brand, but not any Bernat Super Value. So you're limited on what you can get in the store, because even Walmart has a yarn section. So instead of going to lionbrand.com, bernat.com, karensimplysoft.com, or redheart.com, go to Herrschner's, because Herrschner started out as a catalog that you can order from, but now they have a warehouse, and I want to say it's in Wisconsin. They have a warehouse, and that's where all their yarn comes from. Now they have their own brand of yarn called Herrschner's yarn, right? And they have all different weights and sizes and colors and textures and fibers. But they also sell Red Heart Super Saver. They sell Bernat Super Value. They sell Lion Brand. Karen Simply Soft. They sell a little bit of everything. And they also have a bigger color selection. So if you want to get into buying your yarn online, I would definitely go to Herrschners.com. I am a big fan. Shipping wise, you feel like they're slow to shipping, but that's only because Amazon and Walmart is so quick with 2-day shipping. Herrschner's is average 7 to 10 days, sometimes 14 days, depending on how big your yarn purchase is. Yeah, see, I'm already getting warm sitting here. So, Herrschners.com. It's a good place to go yarn shopping. Of course, I also go yarn shopping at redheart.com and yarnspirations.com. I do a lot of yarn shopping online because I wasn't always happy with all the selections in my craft stores. And I actually have a lot of craft stores. Living in the suburbs of Philadelphia, I have a lot of craft stores that I can go to that are in good driving distance. But You're just so limited on the colors that they have and the choices that they have. So shopping online is okay. So that's it for today's blanket. Hopefully I didn't ramble too much. And if you stayed this long, please give me a thumbs up down below. I know I got issues, and I'm working through my issues. I am 50 years old. I'm married. I've got 3 kids. I've got 2 cats, and I've got a mortgage. But I am working through my issues every day. Every day I try to be a little better than I was yesterday. So that's it for today's blanket. It is not for sale. I am keeping this one forever and always. Yeah, so if you like today's video, give it a thumbs up, drop a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. And to all my new subscribers, thank you for being here. I so appreciate every single one of you. I'm digging out the next blanket that needs to be done. I think my next one is actually a pattern that I worked from a blogger. And it's a ripple made with lots of pastel colors. So in about a week, you should see the video for that one. Until then, I'll see you guys later. Bye.